Hey, what's up everyone? NoZoupForYou here, and honestly, I've been feeling a little under the weather starting last week. Just a major sinus infection, you know, the nasty stuff with the green boogers and everything you don't like, so you might be able to hear it in my voice a little bit. It might sound a little rough, but it's alright. We're gonna push on, we're gonna press on, we're gonna get through this. So we've got Rank Season 13 with us right now. It's crazy, I know. We've got clan battles going on. We keep having these events thrown at us, which I don't have an issue with. It gives variety for the players, and it gives them something to do. So if you're one of those players that gets tired of random battles, then you're probably very happy right now because there's a lot of stuff going on to keep you focused in the game. Or I don't know. For me, I don't know if that's focus. I kind of get overloaded. I don't know what to do, but it's good right now. We got a lot going on. So with that being said, this being Rank Season 13 with Tier 9 ships, I know we've been in Rank for a couple days now. I'm just going to go through the Tier 9 ships that I think are the ones you should be looking at for this season, the ones that you should possibly be playing, just go through the merits of each of them and what I think. I'm just going to go through the nations. I'm going to hit the main ships, I'm going to hit the premiums, if I can remember them. If not, I'll probably get to them a little later on, because we do have a ton of ships. And Tier 9 is a very interesting tier, because there is just an overload of really, really good ships at this tier. There's very few bad ships at this tier, to be honest, especially from a ranked perspective. Now, one of the very important things to keep in mind about this season of ranked gameplay is it's 6-on-6. And in many ways, that's a good thing. I actually like it a lot, especially as a destroyer main. From a destroyer perspective, what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot less radar, so destroyers are going to be a lot more prevalent, and they're going to have a lot more value in these rounds. So keep that in mind if you're a destroyer main, or if you're on the fence whether you want to play cruisers or destroyers. You're not going to see quite as much radar this season as you're used to seeing, at least in the early stages of the game. That might change once you get to rank 5 and you got players out there who play very specific ships for very specific reasons. But in the early stages, if you're a destroyer main, you're going to have a great time. Now let's start with Japan and go through the ships right now. For Tier 9, you've got the Izumo. I don't really see a lot of people playing this ship. I'm not a fan of the Izumo. I'm sure you'll run into one or two every now and then just from players that don't have a lot of battleships, but it's not really a good option. Ibuki, on the other hand, that's kind of a wild card, and usually I hate the Ibuki, but I've seen a couple of them this season, and they've done really, really good. And one of the reasons is because of its torpedoes. So I'm not going to say that this is a great option to go with, but if you're daring and you like switching things up, the Ibuki might be worth a look. Yagumo, I've actually seen a fair amount of these so far. I'm a little surprised. I didn't think they'd be that popular, but they are proving to be popular. And again, those torpedoes. When you wind up on Epicenter and you have something that can spit out a ton of torpedoes, you're bound to get a couple hits every now and then. So Yagumo, I don't know that I personally would play it, but a lot of people are playing it. And I've seen them do fairly well with it. So that's another one you might want to keep on your radar. Kitakaze, on the other hand, that is a ship that I'm probably going to be playing a lot. I haven't played it yet, but me and the Kitakaze get along. I know its strengths. It's just a very good gunboat. It's one of those ships you can just farm damage with. And I really think that it's going to do well this season, and a lot of players are going to take it most likely. Moving on to the heavy cruiser, the Azuma. That's what I always say about the Azuma. Might be for you, it might not. Most likely not. I haven't seen any of them yet, and I just don't like them overall, so it's a pass from me. Moving on to the US, Tier 9, we've got the Iowa. If you've got a Missouri, you're not going to play the Iowa at all. And the Missouri is actually a really great choice for this season because of its radar. You got a battleship with radar. I mean, what more could you want? And plus, it's just a good battleship overall. So if you feel more comfortable in battleships and you have the Missouri, you can use that and you will do perfectly fine. You'll have no issues at all. So I think Missouri you're going to see a lot. I think a lot of players are going to find comfort in the Missouri. Buffalo and Seattle. Buffalo is not Baltimore. I miss Tier 9 Baltimore, but that's a different point. Yeah, I'm sure you'll see Buffalo and Seattle. I've run into a few of them. Radar is very alluring. I mean, it's important. It's a good thing, but I just don't feel confident in these ships. They're just really not that strong of a ship compared to the other choices that you can take, and you know they're going to be meat for battleships out there for the players that take them. You got Fletcher at tier 9. Fletcher is always a strong ship. I think it's got power creep just a tad over the past, especially when you have something like the Benham. The Benham is my #1 choice right now. I've been using it to a fair degree of success. You've just got so many torpedoes, and you've got decent concealment. Fletcher has decent concealment too, and it's got pretty fast loading torpedoes. So yes, you can use that if you want, but I think Benham overall is just a better option. Either or, though. Either or. But if you have the Benham, I think you're going to want to use it. And then also you've got the Alaska at tier 9. That's going to be a good choice. I've seen a lot of players taking this, but I've also seen a lot of players getting melted in them as well. So just keep that in mind. If you push too hard in the Alaska, you're going to get focus fired. But the Alaska isn't a bad choice because it is one of those super cruisers that can bow tank and it can cause a lot of damage. So I think you're going to see a fair amount of Alaskas out there. You're going to see less cruisers than in previous seasons, but of those cruisers, I think you're going to see a fair amount of Alaska. Moving on to Russia, you've got the Sovietsky Soyuz. I don't like that ship to begin with. I don't think many people do, so I don't think you're going to see many of them at all. You've got the Donskoy at tier 9. Donskoy's not a bad ship, and again, you've got that radar, which is important, so I think you're going to see a fair amount of them. I don't know if I'd play it. It's just not my style, but it's one of those ships that has the capacity to do good, and while it's not really a super cruiser, it's kind of up there as one of the stronger cruisers as far as armor when bow tanking and everything else. So there's a lot of good in the Donskoy. So I think you're going to see them, and I don't think you'd be bad off if you want to use that as a ship this season. Tashkent, which people affectionately called the Tashkent back in the day. I don't think fast destroyers are really suited to rank gameplay usually, because in rank you really have to cap a lot. A lot of the rounds are going to be epicenter as well, and a fast destroyer just doesn't have quite as much value because you really don't have that open water ability. Udaloy, on the other hand, that might be a little better suited because it's more of a torpedo boat, but again, I just don't see these two being used a lot. I know that I certainly am not going to use them or would use them. There's just too many other better destroyers at this tier. In Germany, don't expect to see the Groza that much at all, if at all. It's just not that great of a battleship, especially for this format. It's just really not that good overall. Rune, on the other hand, I have a soft spot for the Rune. I like the Rune, and I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see players in the Rune. Personally, I wouldn't take her out. I don't think she's a very compelling option this season, but she's not a bad ship overall. And the fact that she's not a bad ship overall means that players will likely take her and you won't have issues. Z46 at tier 9, I don't expect to see too many of those either. I don't plan to play it myself. German destroyers have just gotten eclipsed by a lot better destroyers elsewhere. Over in the UK, the Lion, I've seen a couple of those already. I wouldn't touch the Lion in ranked. If you have no other option and want to play a battleship, sure, you can take it, but no. Neptune, on the other hand, on the cruiser side of things, is a very compelling option because you've got smoke, you've got a fast rate of fire, you've got torpedoes, you've got radar, if you decide to go with the radar as opposed to smoke. So there's a lot of ways you can play this ship, and there's a lot of possibilities for it. So I think you're going to see a fair amount of them. I really enjoy this ship. I think it's a great ship. If I play cruisers, this might be my go-to. It really might be. So I can see a lot of players wanting to use this. At tier 9 for destroyers, for the UK, you've got the Jutland. Great destroyer. Highly recommend it. I'll probably be bouncing back between the Benham, the Kitakaze, and the Jutland. Jutland is a very compelling choice for hunting down and destroying other destroyers. So, Jutland, you're probably going to run into a fair amount. Good ship right there. It really is. Even if you don't play it in ranked, just the top tier British destroyers are really good ships in general, in my opinion. Moving on to France, you've got the Alsace at tier 9. I really haven't run into a lot of these, though I do believe it's a really good ship. and it's a really good battleship. I still enjoy playing it. It's been eclipsed by a bunch of other battleships, and a more compelling option for France at Tier 9, which is the Jean Bart. And you're going to see a lot of Jean Bart. You're going to see a lot of it because it's a good battleship. I mean, it's a really good battleship. But not only that, it's well suited to ranked gameplay because of the reload booster, and it's just good. So if you've got a Jean Bart, use it, because it will do you well this season. Much better than the Alsace. Not saying the Alsace is bad, still like it a lot, but Jean Bart's just leaps and bounds better. St. Louis I've always had a special part in my heart for. I really like it. It's a really good cruiser, and you're probably going to run into a fair amount of these. You can use it if you want. It's a great kiting cruiser. You've got a very high fire chance. It's fast, but it also likes open water. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with it. Mogador at Tier 9. I'm on the fence with this one. I don't think I would use it. Not in ranked gameplay. Just because you need open water, you need speed. You don't have heal. You're going to take damage. You don't have smoke. So there's just a lot of things that you really need in ranked gameplay that you don't get in this ship. Moving on to Pan-Asia, you've got the Chungmu. I don't think I would use Chungmu just because your torpedoes are very important as a defensive weapon against other destroyers. Chungmu lacks that. I mean, I love deep waters, but only being able to shoot at maybe 2/3 of the ships in a single round, it's just not a good look. So I don't think you're going to be seeing too many Chungmus. I know you're not going to be seeing me in a Chungmu. So moving on, let's see if there's any ships that I've forgotten right now. I think I touched on all the premiums for the most part, with the exception of Black. I have forgotten about Black, so we're going to talk about Black right now. And yeah, I don't think Black's a bad option either for destroyers. I mean, your torpedoes are kind of sea mines. So that's the one bad thing about it, 43 knots. But again, you've got radar on a destroyer, which is a good thing. And it might be necessary because a lot of ships are not going to have radar this season. Or I just don't see this being a radar intensive season in the beginning. Just because 2 of the radar ships are just really not that good options on the US side. And most of the players playing Neptune are going to use it for smoke, so there's a lack of radar there. A lot of the radar you're going to find is going to be out of the Missouri, and then out of the Donskoy. People use the Donskoy and the Alaska, which is a compelling choice. Also up there at Tier 9, another ship that you might see a lot is the Georgia. I think Georgia's going to be out there a fair amount just because it's new, it's got speed, it's got heavy, hard-hitting guns. I mean, if you've got it, feel free to play in it. I don't think I'm going to play the Georgia myself, though. I just don't think that speed that the Georgia has is going to be best be utilized in a ranked setting. So you can keep it on your radar, but it's not going to be on mine. And then lastly, but not least, is the Musashi, and you're going to see a ton of Musashis. You're just going to see an absolute ton of them. You've got big guns and a very, very giant hit pool. So obviously, players are going to want to take advantage of that, and you can take advantage of it. I might at some point if I get bored, but I think this season for me is primarily going to be destroyers, just because Kitakaze, I think, is going to run the table with its fast-firing guns. And then Benham with its just absolute wall of torps. It's active area denial, which is insane for that ship because you're just spitting out so much so quickly. So those are my choices for this season. And of course, if I play battleships, it's probably either going to be Missouri or Jean Bart. So there you have it. Interested to know what you think of this season and what you think about all this stuff getting just thrown at us to do. I mean, it's an overload of busy work, but it's good. It's good. Warships is keeping us busy. They're giving us stuff to play. So anyhow, guys, have a wonderful week. Best of luck in Rank Season 13. I hope you achieve the goals that you want to achieve and get that steel so you can get that ship that's locked behind steel that you really want. I will catch you all later. Zoop out.